Welcome back to the channel, guys. Nice to see you all. Today we're going to talk about retiring abroad in 2025 and why Thailand's still top of the list. That's what I think. Let's dive in today's video. I think a great reason to live in Thailand is a lower cost of living for like housing, for food, for healthcare. It's a lot cheaper than it would be, back say in the UK. I live in Thailand now, and the housing there is just so much cheaper than it would be in, let's say, England, where I'm from. So you're going to save yourself a lot of money with your pension living in a place like Thailand. I think the lifestyle and the quality of life is just way better in Thailand. There's a super slower pace of life out here. And, you are more likely to be healthy out here. You got the great climate. You can go for walks. There's fresh markets with fresh food and vegetables. There's sunshine every day, meeting new people. All these things contribute to a better quality of life and making you feel healthier. Some popular retirement destinations, if you're looking outside of Thailand, the first one would be Portugal. I think Portugal has a really good cost of living there. There's good healthcare there. There's a bit of a problem with the language. I think you might struggle with the language there. But I think in certain cities, it's pretty expensive. In Lisbon and Porto, it is expensive in them cities. And cost of living is rising in them places. So just pick wisely if you're going to retire in a place like Portugal. Next place would be Spain. Spain has a fantastic climate. I've been many times actually. It's Portugal too, and it has got a beautiful climate there. The winters are really nice in certain parts. They're not kind of hot or cold. It's just a really tropical, lovely climate. But it does get extremely hot in the summer. But they have them beautiful autumn and spring times where the weather's beautiful, I can assure you, because I've been many times to Spain. Food's great, the people are friendly. Maybe there's a bit of a problem with the language over there. You might not be able to speak Spanish, so that could be an issue for you if you're retiring over there. Mexico would be another one. This is close to the US border, so that would be handy if you're an American. Obviously a cheaper cost of living there, but I think it's a bit dubious as regards to safety. Certain parts are not that safe, so you just need to pick the area you want to retire to there. Vietnam is another one that a lot of people are thinking about going to instead of Thailand now. They're saying it's cheaper than Thailand. I don't believe them, but yeah, a lot of people are saying it's very cheap cost of living there, and it's a nice environment to live in. I think one of the annoying things about living there is everyone bap on the horn every day with the motorbikes. That's what I've heard. With the scooters is a bit annoying, so that might be something that would do your head in if you're living there permanently. Especially if you live in some of the cities, but even in the countryside I think they're like this too. Let me know what they're like, them horns in Vietnam, if you're living there now. I think the visa there can be tricky too, guys. So yeah, you have to let us know about that in the comments if you're living in Vietnam. Was it easy to get a retirement visa there, or just a visa to live there, guys? Let us know in the comments. And the other popular place to retire to is the Philippines, where a lot of people really rave on about and love. I think it just depends what area you live in. Manila is a bit dodgy. I think some of the safety in certain areas around the Philippines is bad. It's great for people who speak English, If you speak in English, then everyone in the Philippines speak English, whether it's a market seller or, someone who works in the city. So this is really good benefit of living there. And this is going to have a knock-on effect to your life for sure. If you're looking for a girlfriend as well, that's really going to help. And I think the Filipino culture and Western culture are quite similar, guys. So I think it would suit to get a girlfriend from there too. And a great place to live. The climate's beautiful. Just as I say, with regard to safety, cost of living similar to Thailand. I think it's a little bit more expensive than Thailand, so I've heard a few people say. And the healthcare is not as good unless you live in certain cities. I think if you live in, some of the big cities, it's fine. But if you get out of them big cities, then healthcare can be a problem. So this is just another factor. Okay, why does Thailand still top the list then? Well, I think it's a mixture of affordability, great lifestyle, quality of life you can have over here, the climate, the healthcare here, the infrastructure. So if you want to travel around the country, it's very easy to do that. And Bangkok, Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok is, the hub of Asia. You can literally go anywhere in Asia from there. So that's another benefit. Oh, guys, can you just do us a massive favor? Just press the subscribe button. It really helps the channel, helps it to grow. Thanks. And back to the video. It's definitely safe here. There's a massive expat community, really well established in all the big kind of 5 or 6 retirement places in Thailand, guys. So this is something else to think about. You know, if you're coming over abroad, do you want to be on your own? I don't think you do. I think you want to, you know, come over to somewhere abroad and retire in, you know, with other people. Yes, in the Thai culture or the Vietnamese culture or the Filipino culture, but also you want to mix in with some of the Westerners there too. You want a nice balance of both Westerners from your own country or, you know, a Western country, and, you know, the local people as well. I think if you have one or the other extreme, it's not good. And I think, you know, some people in Pattaya, for example, might have that, or in Phuket, in the real tourist area. If you live there, you can have a bit of a bubble. And I think that's not good. You need a bit of a balance of both when you're coming to retire somewhere abroad. Things to consider when you're retiring abroad, you know, you've got to think about what visa you're going to come on when you come to a country. This is very, very important. Like in Thailand, they have the retirement visa. In other countries, you need to look into that, what visas they have for each country. And do you want to go on a retirement visa, or do you want some other kind of visa over here? Some people want to do part-time work when they're living abroad. The next is healthcare access. You know, how good are the hospitals? Are the private ones, government ones? What hospitals are you going to use? Are they international standard? Do they speak English in the hospitals? Which makes it a lot easier for you guys coming over here. You don't want to walk in a hospital and no one speaks a word of English and you can't speak the local language. That can be really challenging for you guys. You need to establish a budget, you know, how much you're going to live on when you come over here, whether it's, you know, a part-time pension and working or full-time kind of pension budget when you're working too. So look at each country and think about, okay, which one has the best value for money, you know, the overall package of that country. Housing is another one. You know, some places are really cheap, but the housing not good. Places like Thailand, you know, in Bangkok, Phuket, Hua Hin, Pattaya, they're fantastic condos, apartments, pool villas you can buy or rent at fantastic value. Cultural adaptation. You know, if you go to live in somewhere like Spain, I think it's easier to culturally adapt to somewhere like Thailand or Vietnam or the Philippines, for sure. So you think about that when you're planning your retirement somewhere. And how far away is it from your own country? Like Thailand here is, you know, 11 hours away from England. I have to get a flight home. Realistically, I can't go home more than once a year. Financially, it's very expensive. I mean, I actually have a family out in Thailand, so it's triply expensive for myself, actually quadruply expensive for myself, because I'd have to take my wife and 2 kids. So this can be very financially draining if you got to fly back to your own country. So think about where you want to retire, and do you want to see your family regularly? If you do, then think about a place that's maybe closer to your home. And finally, taxation. You know, some kind of, I mean, there's been a big thing about this in Thailand at the moment, the taxation of pensions, taxation of, you know, how you're going to pay tax, you know, what money you're going to be taking off your pension, you're transferring the money over, you know, the exchange rate. All these kind of things are super important when you come into a new country to live permanently, and you've got a stable income coming in. You know, how much of that is actually going to be able to transfer every month into a bank account in the new country you're going to be living, guys. Oh, thanks for listening today, guys. A little bit different one today, looking at a few different areas for retiring abroad in the world. Take it easy, and I'll see you on the next video, guys.